This conference will now be recorded.
Sales processes and various sales processes. So let's discuss how this process will behave in SAP system. So as we discussed, the first process always starts with an inquiry, and inquiry is create inquiry is created in SAP system with a T code called as VA11, and every transaction or every process in SAP is identified by something called as document type. If it is an inquiry, it is identified as IN. If it is quotation, it is identified as QT. If it is doc order, it is identified as OR, credit memo CR, debit memo DR. So like this, there are various documents or transactions, anything it could be. So VA11. So let's get into the system and see how we create this transaction. VA11 to create an inquiry. But before you start practicing this, you will be facing a couple of errors because we have not started any configurations as of now, but we are discussing about transactions. So system will throw an error, couple of errors actually, and those all are known errors. In the interviews also, in the study material also, we have what are those errors and the solution for that error. Okay. So inquiry is created by IN, sales organization. Any transaction is created under a sales area. So we enter sold to party. There was some issue with the error. Let me check. So sold to party, then ship to party, material, order quantity. Okay, this error is still existing. But one moment, let me get into a different system. This is I'll do one thing. I'll just get into S4 HANA system. For results down, I guess. So, okay. This is our name. It should be 10:01. Validity. Okay. So let's proceed, but let me try with S4 HANA. processes is same in SD or S4HANA. The process is same. There is no change in the process. So VA11 and document type is IN inquiry, and we create under sales area. So material, we enter material here, and then we enter the quantity here. Right, sold to party, shipped to party, material, and quantity. Okay, so that's it. User will not enter anything more than this. So once a user enter this data, that is, when user enters sold to party, so system gets all the values or whatever we maintain in the customer master into the sales document. And when we enter the material here, system will bring all the data, whatever we maintain in the material master. So as we discussed, like we have spent good time in maintaining customer master and material master. So why we have spent so much time and why we maintain every field? Because we don't want user to enter any data in the sales document except entering here the sold to party and ship to party. Because for two things. One is to save the user time and to eliminate the data entry errors. Instead of 11 one quantity, if user create order for 11 quantity, or instead of 100 or 10 quantity, user create 100, right? So to eliminate that data entry mistakes as well, we don't want user to enter any data except entering the sold to party and materials, right? So once we are done with this, you could click on save. Here we have some error, I guess. Okay, anyway, there is no error. System has saved a inquiry document, right? System saved inquiry document. So whenever we create a transaction, we can create a transaction independently, or we can create a transaction with reference to a preceding document, okay? With reference to a preceding transaction. So now system has generated an inquiry number. Let's copy this number. So in SAP, there is a concept called as copy controls. So what does this copy controls do? That is, we can create a transaction individually, or we can create a transaction with reference to a preceding document. When we create a transaction with reference to a preceding document, system will copy all the data from the source document to target document. So source, let's say in this case, it's inquiry, and target document is quotation. So system will copy all the data from source to target. So how it is possible? That is through concept called as copy controls. So we'll discuss that copy controls later. That is the last concept what we discuss in this training. That's the last concept. So quotation, how do we create it? VA21. Okay, before this, let me also show you something very important. So whatever the processes we are discussing, every process is already documented. Okay, in the final docs, the folder what I shared through G Drive, you could open this folder, process docs, and you name a process in SD, it is already documented with screenshots. So now we just discussed about inquiry. Okay, this is inquiry, right? Just open the inquiry, and there is the complete config document for inquiry. Okay, so we entered sole to party. So what is inquiry, how we create transaction and everything. Then you could see what all the values we entered. Then sold to party, shipped to party, material, product, and saved it. Then inquiry number has been generated, right? So every process we create is documented here. So if you at least can't go through system for practice, please watch these particular documents. This is the same thing we do in the system, right? But when you're trying the system, you'll be facing some errors. But at least you will be familiar with the screens and process. So please go through this particular process documents. Every process in SD is documented. So we created an inquiry. Now let's create a quotation. So how do we create a quotation? That is VA 21. VA 21. And here we have two options. One is quotation is identified as QT. So I can give this QT and the sales area, press enter. System will take us to the next screen where we can enter sold to party, just like what we have done earlier. Or else we can create a transaction with reference. You see, create with reference. So when you click on this create with reference, you see here we have inquiry. Earlier we created an inquiry and the system has generated an inquiry number, right? So just enter that inquiry number here and say copy. And you see here, we have not entered either sold to party or shipped to party, material, quantity, nothing. Everything has been copied from the preceding document to subsequent document, right? So how this is possible? This is possible through concept called as copy controls. As I mentioned, we'll discuss copy controls in the last of this training. And you see here, I cannot change sold to party. I cannot change even the material also, it's grayed out. So these all are in the copy controls. You could control telling system, once you copy the data, whether user is allowed to change the data or not. So everything it could be controlled through copy controls. You can copy the data. At the same time, you can also tell system after copying whether user is allowed to change the data or not. So we created a quotation, and if I click on save, what happens? System shows some message. We have not seen this message at the time of order inquiry, right? So we see some message here. System says that this document is incomplete, and we have two options now. You can save an incomplete document. Okay, we can save an incomplete document, but we cannot proceed further. Okay, we can save an incomplete document, but we cannot proceed further. That means if you create an inquiry and if that inquiry document is incomplete, you cannot create a quotation with reference to that particular inquiry. If you create an order and if the order is incomplete, then you cannot create a delivery for that order. That means an incomplete document, you can save an incomplete document, but you cannot create the subsequent transactions. So if you want to make this document complete, but how do system know this document is incomplete? Why this document is incomplete? Because quotation has validity periods. That's what we discussed, right? And I have not entered the validity period. So that's the reason system has showed this particular error. So I can click and make this document complete. Oh my God, there are lots of fields missing. Anyway, yeah, you could see validity. Usually, only validity will be missing, so we know this error. And the plant is also missing. Once we enter the plant, rest of all the fields will get eliminated. Plant. So usually what users do is they don't even need to click on the save button. Whether the document is complete or not, they can just click on the edit on the top and they can go and check here in completion logs. So how does system know that this field is mandatory? That is, there is a concept called as incompletion log. Okay, probably page number 235. Yes, incompletion log. So this is the concept where we tell system in a transaction what all the fields should be mandatory or not mandatory. Okay, you see here terms of payment, Incoterms, sales district. So you can tell system here which field is mandatory, which field warning and everything. So that's how system knows. It's a very short one page configuration, very single line configuration. You could just go through this menu path or you can use a T code, just one line configuration, telling system what fields to be mandatory or not. So that's how system knows that this field validity period is a mandatory in this particular transaction. And you don't enter the validity period, then system will stop us. And as I told you, we have two options. One is we can either go ahead with the creation of transaction. That means you can save an incomplete document, but you cannot proceed further, or you can make the document complete. So now let me check here. Let me go to edit and go to incompletion. Still, there are a couple of things are missing, but let me click on save. I can save a document as I told you. This is system generated number. But why system stopped us? Because of valid 2. We have not entered the mandatory field. And how do system know what transaction in a transaction what fields are mandatory? That is to incompletion log. That is the transaction. How system would be knowing this? Okay. So we created a quotation. The next is sales order. After a quotation, we create a sales order. What is the difference between an order and quotation? Anyone?
The actual confirmation from customer. The
Right.
sales order.
Order is a definite one. It has the confirmed quantity plus confirmed date. Okay, confirmed quantity plus confirmed delivery date. So how do we create a sales order? Before going through this VA01, one very important concept, that is who create transactions? Anyone?
And
No, sir.
users. Users.
Users. User create transactions. But why we are learning as a consultant?
To
We need
train
to
and
training.
Right? We need to give training, we need to configure, we need to prepare
Okay.
user manual. If there is error, we have to fix it. For many reasons, we should also know how the processes work, right? So, very important question in the interview, very important. In the recent interviews also, they ask this question. Okay, that is, yeah. So, if someone has learned SAP SD, but they are struggling to get a job, why people fail? Anyone? Any idea? Or anyone you have taken training earlier or tried for SAP jobs, but you failed again, you joined this training? Anyone? Usually, why people fail? Why can't they get into the job? Because I keep getting daily at least 10, 15 messages like that. Somewhere they take training or certification, but they're not getting jobs since 1 year. So again, now they want to join training. So why these guys don't get job? How many hours of practice do you think really you need for SAP? Anyone? For SD per day, how many hours of practice you might be doing,
4 to 6 hours.
right? You,
3
you need,
hours.
do you need 15 hours? 10, 15 hours?
100%
No, no,
We don't need that. If you are sitting for 10, 15 hours, that means what you are trying to do, you are killing your time by creating 10 customers, 10 orders. Because I created a quotation, right? If you know how to create a quotation with one transaction, that is enough, right? You know what happens at the quotation. Do you need to create a 10 or 50 quotations? You don't need them,
no, not
right?
required.
So why people fail is because of this reason. You practice only the customer master, material master, and create sales orders. Is that your activity as a consultant?
Oh,
No, that's end user activity. That's where people fail. Even after 1 year also, why don't they get job? Because they waste their time only by creating orders, quotations, and this. But this is not we want. We should know how to create them or how they process in the SAP. But what is actually a consultant role? That is to know what happens in the background when an order is created. So this is also a very important question. Whenever we create it, yesterday again, one other person got a job. I'll show you the message at the end of the session. I hope he is still attending it as a revision in this batch also. You are there, Chaitanya? No, Chaitanya is not there. Anyone from morning batch? 7:15, 6:15. Maybe I'll show you the message. He's still attending a revision batch in the morning. Maybe February batch, I guess. He got a job, 3 offers. I'll show you another session. So what exactly we need? Consultant activity, not how to create a customer, how to create a sales order, or these things. Okay, very important entry question. Which whenever we create sales order, what happens in the background, or what activities system performs in the background? Okay, what activities system performs in the background? So what are the activities? So once after the transactions, what we'll be doing for another 1 month? We just spent only 1 month, right? Training. What we are going to do for another 1 month? These are the things. Out of this, we just learned only partner determination as of date, right? But still we have this many concepts and business process to learn. So when we create a sales order, what activity system performs in the back end? These activities. Because once you're creating a sales order, first you enter sold to party. When you enter sold to party, that means system is checking what are the other partners for this, everything. Listing exclusion, whether this material is available, whether the customer is allowed to buy this material or not, whether this material is available or it is replaced with some other material, or do you this material have free goods, what is the price of the material, whether the customer have enough credit balance or not, how to send order confirmation to the customer, whether to send a fax or email or a printout. So this all happens in the back end, right? So as a consultant, this is what we need to know. So what activity system performs in the back end when we create a sales order? These are the need not to be in a sequence, you can tell anything, whatever you remember. The same question in one of the interview was asked very trickily. That is, they asked only about determinations. So they asked a question, can you tell what all the determination system performs in the back end when you create a sales order? Only determinations. They have not asked all the activities, but only determinations. So you can tell whatever the determinations you are familiar with, like partner determination, material determination, free goods determination, text determination, output determination, revenue account determination. Only determinations they have asked. They have not asked all the activities, right? So I hope I already told you earlier as well. 99% time you know the answer. Okay. In the interview, 99% time you know the answer. Only thing is you should understand the question. If you understand the question, definitely you'll be answering it. So that's how tricky they ask the question. So how do we create a sales order? We create a sales order with the transaction code VA01. VA01. And as I told you, any transaction can be created with reference to. But there are some transactions you should create it with mandatory reference. You cannot create independent order. You have to create mandatory. We'll see later what transaction is that. But these all transactions you have an option. Like you could create it independently or you can create it with a reference. So sales order, the document type is OR, and we enter the sold to party, ship to party. This just looks like a quotation. There is nothing much more in this particular because as I told you, quotation and order are almost the same. Only thing is the difference. This is a confirmed quantity and confirmed delivery, and quotation is just a reference. One quantity. Okay. So in the quotation, you could have, sorry, in the order, you could have price, everything you would be seeing in the order. As I told you, it's a definite one. So once you create an order, save it. The document is incomplete, but I'll just click on the save. An order has been generated, order number 58. So we should know what activities system performs in the backend once we create a sales order. That is very important. The next is delivery. So sales. So in a sales transaction, in the OTC or a sales life cycle or whatever it is, we have order, we have delivery, we have billing. Right? Any transaction will have three activities: order, delivery, and billing. Order and billing happens in SD module. Order and billing happens in SD module. Delivery happens in LE module, logistics execution, and accounting happens in FI module. So once we create an order, the delivery will be processed by LE module. So LE is a very small module. If you don't have LE consultants in your project, then SD consultants are responsible to do that. But anyway, this LE is going away. It's becoming obsolete in S/4HANA and replacing with TM, Transportation Management. So how do we create a delivery? We create a delivery with the VL01N. This is the transaction. And whenever we create a delivery, there is one more activity. That is PGI. You create a delivery document and click on save button. A delivery document will be created. So what happens? Only a delivery document will be created, but system will not initiate picking, packing, and other backend activities. When system will initiate all the backend activities, that is only when you hit the button called as PGI, post goods issue. You create a delivery and hit the button PGI, then only system will allow us to trigger the delivery and it starts all the activity. It updates in the stocks, an inventory accounting document which will generated. It updates in the document flow, telling that a billing is pending for this. LIS reporting, it updates in the billing duties. So this all gets updated when you create a delivery and hit the PGA button. Okay. The next is invoice. Once you create a delivery, then we create invoice. As I told you, invoice means billing. We create billing, and this billing document has to be uh, released to accounting so that system will release to accounting so that system will trigger the invoice to customer. Okay. So you create a, as you know, yesterday we discussed bill and the invoice are two things. Invoice is a legal document in any country. You can create an invoice you can correct an invoice if something goes wrong, and you can cancel an invoice if the transaction is cancelled. If customer has returned the material, then you can cancel the invoice, but you can never delete the invoice. In any country, you can never delete the invoice. Okay, you buy some material and you get a bill. Is there any serial number or any bill number is mentioned, invoice number? Anyone?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Right? And that numbers are in
Yes.
sequence, right? They are not random numbers.
Yes.
Always
Yes.
bill numbers will be in sequence. Why? Because that's how it should be. If any department person comes for audit, how do they know, right? So how do they find out the any malpractice, something you do there? That is because of this. If there is, you delete some document in between or something. That's how they know if you do some fraud or anything in the billing activities. Right. Yeah. So when you create a billing document and it's released to accounting, then these all activities would be performed in the back end. So inquiry, quotation, delivery, and billing. So one transaction is completed. Now returns. Okay. What is this?
What is the
What is that?
what is the difference between invoice and billing?
That's what I told you, right? Billing happens in SD module. Okay. Until unless billing released to accounting, system will not raise the invoice to customer. You create a billing document means you are just saving it in your SAP system. We are not sending anything to the customer. Only when the billing document is released to accounting, you are sending an invoice to customer. Okay. Returns. So if customer complains saying that there is a product damage and there is a issue, so your business has a policy to take the stock back as a return. This is an interesting process. Let's say, let's take any company, anything it could be. Maybe let's take Maruti. Okay. Maruti has delivered 100 cars to its dealer. Okay. Maruti has delivered 100 cars to its dealer, and dealer complained there are 10 stock which is damaged out of the 100. Okay. 10 stock is damaged out of 100. So now, what is the process? If customer complains there is a damage, what you do? You tell
Sales
customer
return.
returns, right? But how do this returns process happen? Is it possible to take 10 damaged stock back again?
No. No.
Just imagine how much will be the return delivery cost, right? So usually what we do is we send some person from the business, some representative from the business to the customer place, and this person will assess the damage. So why it is a damage, whether it's a handling damage, transit damage, or anything it could be, right? And they'll give written note. This person will give a written note. This is an internal document with all his comments. And once we got the written note, then we create a written order. In SAP, returns is identified with a document called as RE, and the T code is VA01. We create a written order. Then we create a written delivery. Okay. If customer says that these are damaged, okay, we want to take the stock back. Then after, what is the next transaction? After the written order, written delivery, then what is the next transaction?
Payment.
Written invoice, right?
Yes.
So SAP tells us to create a written invoice with reference written order. At any time, invoice is created with reference to a delivery, right? Whether standard or returns, anything it could be. But here, SAP tells to create a written order with written delivery. not sorry, a written invoice with written invoice is also RE, written invoice with written order, but not with written delivery. Why SAP tells to create a written invoice with written order? Why SAP tells that?
To avoid
Because
inconsistency.
yeah, because if you are creating with written delivery, what happens is, okay, you ask customer to send back the stock. Customer complaint saying that there is a stock damage, 10 stock damage. So you ask customer to okay, send the stock back. And the customer has sent the stock back. But at the plant, we received only 5 stock. Other 5 stock is completely lost. Customer complained saying that 10 quantities damaged. But when we asked the customer to send it back, we received only 5 stock. Doesn't know what happened. Maybe it completely lost in the return transit or whatever it is. Now you will raise a credit memo for what? 5 quantity or 10 quantity?
5 quantity, as we received only 5.
Right? Obviously 5. Right? So which is wrong actually, because a customer place and customer told that there is 10 stock damage, right? So that is the reason.
It's going to
If you
become a conflict.
if you create a written invoice with written delivery, you have to create it with 5. But what is the actual stock damaged? 10. So always the damaged stock should be certified at the customer location, not at the plant. Always damaged stock should be certified at the customer location, right? So that is what that is the reason SAP tells you to do it this way rather than creating it with reference to written delivery. Okay. Processes are very important. You take any process, there is a standard process. If someone is from US or UK or any other country, they just ask processes. They don't ask controls. They'll say, okay, let's discuss on written process. You go to the interviews, they don't even ask questions. They say that, okay, let's discuss on interview process, how you configure returns in your project. They'll just take only one process and they'll try to discuss all that process comparing to your project. How, what customizations, what enhancements you have done in your returns, or how you process returns in your business. Just that's how they ask. So process is very, very, very important. Returns. What is the standard accounting entry? Financial accounting entry? Anyone? What is the accounting entry when we raise an invoice to customer?
When you return, it is
No, standard.
sales return account data. Yes, sales return account data to
No.
it should be.
The standard process is customer account debit to revenue account credit, right? But here, what we are doing, we are giving back to customer. So what happens? The accounting entry gets reversed. Accounting entry gets reversed, and the accounting entry will become revenue account debit to customer account credit. Revenue account debit to customer account credit, right? So this is written process. For every process, there will be an accounting entry. So what is more important you should understand? One is how you create that in the SAP system. That means what is the T code, then what is the document type. These things you need to know. Then next is you should know the complete process, and then you should know the accounting entry. These three are mandatory for any process. Okay, so this is returns. So we'll do one thing, we'll stop it here today and continue tomorrow because it will take time for you to understand this process itself. Tomorrow we'll, sorry, as I mentioned, tomorrow we'll not have a session on Wednesday. The next day we catch up and we'll finish all the 17 processes, right from credit memo. We'll finish until this process. Next session, it's pretty easy. We would finish all this process. Okay. So practice them in the system. Practice this process in the system. Until then, you don't understand how they perform, what errors they throw, and how you fix the errors. You will not understand these all things. So you have to practice them in the system. Go to, if you find any difficulty, I already told you, right? There is process documents. You can go to process document and yeah, you'll be easily knowing it. Okay. So any questions, please go ahead.
If the customer is sending 5 goods and we have complained that the goods have damage for about 10, then
Hmm.
in that situation, what entry,
No,
and what code is the configuration? Like,
no,
should
there
we
is
be
no
considering only for?
return from customer. That means return in the sense the
Mm,
quantifying of the damaged material will be always happen at the customer location.
mm,
Let's say you have an airport. In airport there are 10 elevators. Customer says that one elevator is damaged. Will you say that send me the
okay.
elevator to my factory, I will check? Or you'll send a
No, no,
person to
it's
check
not
the
possible.
elevator, right? We
I
send
will
a
send a
person
person to check.
elevator, right?
Yes,
That's what.
yes.
So damaged stock should be always checked at the customer location, not at the plant.
The same will be entered in the SAP. Like you gave an example of 10 elevators. One of them is damaged. So one will be considered as the
One,
damage, right? If I'm not.
yes, yes.
What if the good is deliverable? Like lifts are fixed, you cannot move it from one place. What if the goods are deliverable in that case? Like it takes example of bikes. Later we got to know that 2 bikes are damaged. It can be returned, right? It cannot be fixed in the wall or
There are,
something building.
see, there are two things. Obviously, you will take the stock back. If customer says the 10 stock is damaged, you will not throw away that stock there, right? You will check the feasibility
Yes.
of return delivery. You will check the feasibility. Let's say you delivered some FMCG goods. Let's say you have sent some 10 crates of some juice, and that juice
Okay.
is expired. What you will do taking it back, which is your factory some 500 kilometers away? Will you take that 10 crates of juice back?
No, no.
There is no purpose.
I,
There is no purpose even taking back because that is expired. You will throw it there itself, right? So
yes.
it depends upon how the scenario is, whether there might be a material, a slight damage. What you do, you can fix the material there and sell it for seconds there itself to some other customer.
Yes.
Okay. So various
Yes.
scenarios comes, but obviously you take the stock back, or
Depend
else
upon the type of product we
yes,
have.
the worst case you will sell the stock to scrap. Okay, because
Oh,
scrap sales is also a scenario in the business. Scrap sales is also a scenario.
okay.
Yeah. So any other questions, anyone? Please practice this,
Yes.
everyone. Without practicing, it would be very hard for you to understand. You have to see that in the system. All the
Hello,
process you have to see it in the system.
hello,
Good. Good.
hello.
I can hear you, Lakshman.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Actually, I have attended this week for 2 interviews, sir. I given.
Hmm.
In that, some questions are pending from. I am not able to give the proper reason to interview the interviewer.
Tell me.
Yeah. In the implementation side, we said gap analysis document, right, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, but I given the answer as general issues, but they were
Hmm.
asking the in the means scenarios they were asking.
Okay.
What can we say? What are the issue? We can say real time. There is one, and
See,
in the yes, sir.
yeah. Let me first answer it first. We
Okay, sir.
already have tickets document. Have you gone through the ticket document? Have you
Yeah,
gone through
ticket
this?
document. Yes, yes,
Okay. Have you taken any development issue here?
yes. Practice also.
Okay. That is enough actually. You don't need
Okay,
more than
we have to say. Okay, means
that is enough.
they said gap analysis, right? There is no standard gap. Means
Hmm.
there is no solution standard SAP, right? As per
Hmm.
gap analysis definition.
Yes.
Uh,
Gap in the ETC is there is no solution in SAP, and you have to
okay,
go for assessment.
okay, right, sir. I will go to once again. One more thing in the final preparations phase. we'll upload the data legacy to production.
Mhm.
What is the exact process will we take care, sir? Actually, that is also one question.
Okay.
I
So
said
first,
BDC and LSMW. I said the process,
okay.
but they are asking more any other method other than that. Like that, they were asking me.
So there is no other method. It's only LSMW or BDC. So we
Okay.
already discussed it. What we do first, we create the templates, Excel, with the headers,
Okay.
character, and everything, and give it to the customer and ask the customer to pull out all the data from their system from the same format.
Mm-hmm.
And once we do a mock run with some sample data. And once that is success with the errors, then we initiate the rest of the process.
Okay. Okay. Right, sir. One more thing, sir. SAP notes. What is SAP notes?
Yeah, note, SAP note or OSS note. That means the solution is provided by SAP itself, and that's a standard solution. Let's say there is an issue in the system, and this issue is not only for you or as a business. Let's say you take pharma industry, all the pharma industry is facing that issue.
Okay.
Why
Okay.
every customer of pharma industry, SAP customer of pharma should develop it? Why not SAP give a solution so that everyone can use it, right?
Yes.
How system SAP provides that, that is called as OSS note, which need to download it from marketplace. So OSS note you'll get from the SAP itself for a common problem across the industry.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Sir, one more thing. Where do we
Next one,
define the billing number ranges?
billing number
Account
ranges
groups.
FBN1.
Sorry, sir. What, FB?
FBN1.
Okay. Okay.
We don't do
Okay.
that. We don't do that.
They are asking me, sir, actually, yesterday.
FI will do that. FI will do that. FBN1, you see, accounting document number ranges.
Mhm. Okay. 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 Right. Okay,
But
sir.
there is again a flaw here in the copy controls, you will know.
Mhm.
Billing numbers and account numbers can be different, but no country accepts it. Legally, billing numbers and accounting numbers should be same. But in SAP, we can maintain different.
Okay.
Okay, anyway,
Okay.
it will be maintained by FI. We don't do that. FBN1.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Any other
In
question?
STO process, how could we change the price in billing document? They were asking, how do we change the price in STO?
Price in STO, you need to change it in the purchase order, because price in the STO will be copied from purchase order to
Particular to
billing.
billing. Yes. Yes.
Have a price source A. Remember, copy controls price
Yeah.
source A.
Pricing source. Yeah. Right. Right, sir.
So you need to change it in the purchase order, so that will get updated into the billing document. You cannot directly change in the billing document.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
One more final question, sir. Actually, in the
Yeah.
output determinations, how to send the output in two languages?
Text editor. Sorry. Output in.
Two languages we have to send output. Output should be sent in two languages.
All right. We can maintain in both the. We have language wise. You remember?
Yes, yes,
Mail,
language is
mail
there. Yes,
title
yes,
text.
we can. Yes, yes.
Okay. You can maintain mail title text.
Mail title and text. Yes, is there. I said the same thing, but he is elaborated. He asking for elaboration. How could he send like that? There are mail title
Okay.
I text the same, but I am also not sure that two language sufficient or not. That is the thing.
We can send it. We can send it
Okay.
to two different partners, two languages. Anything is possible.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the guy who placed from the morning batch. I told you, right? Not morning batch, previous batch, still attending the revision. So he was rejected TCS and Tech Camp, you see. And just on 6th, just hardly 10 days back, he was rejected in TCS and these two. Manager round, he got rejected in TCS. But today he has Infosys, Cognizant, and Capgemini. Whatever I show, minimum 3 offer letters or minimum 2 offer letters. So you will be also placed with minimum to minimum 3 offer letters. maybe I hope this guy is also there in this batch, or else I can call this guy to attend this batch for one session and we could take some input. Okay, and they are hardly, I told you, right? Only time matters. These guys joined in January or February, so they got placed today. You joined in May, you'll be placed in September. That's only the difference. Right? So everyone, please start your practice. So any other questions, please go ahead.
So one question.
As you
Go
said,
ahead.
you as you said, they might ask what enhancement you have done in return process. What can
Yeah. Go ahead, but you don't need to do now, because in S/4HANA there is something called as advanced returns. Okay. In S/4HANA we have advanced returns. You see, or accelerated returns. Create accelerated returns. A complete dashboard will open for returns. You see how much control there is for returns. In ECC, if you go for returns, what is there? Order type is RE, right? RE. Returns is RE.
RE,
RE, right?
RE.
RE is something missing here. But yeah, in the RE, you don't see any control except the billing block and order reason. But you go to CBAR, advanced returns or accelerated returns, you get lots of controls. You can also tell customer what to do with the damaged stock, whether they have to keep it with them so that we could collect it later, or they need to deliver it to plant, whatever you want, you could do with now advanced returns.
Okay.
Right?
So it's present in S/4HANA, right? Right. So
Only
much
in
options.
S/4HANA. Yes, yes.
Sir, all
So
the
we'll
time
not
we
have a
check
session. Go ahead, please.
all the time we check spoiled goods at customer's place, or is there any chances we'll raise return and then we'll inspect?
So SAP tells you to do that way. Always quantify the damage stock at the customer location. That is what SAP tells. But as you know, right, we can overlook the best practices as per your business. But SAP tells us to do always damage stock has to be checked at the customer location.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll not have a session tomorrow. We'll catch back on 16th again. And 16th will continue and we'll finish all the 17th processes on 16th. Right? But start practicing, everyone, because we'll keep on adding content, keep going on. If you are still in enterprise structure customer master, then you cannot catch up later. So start your preparation so that at least 1, 2, 3 sessions is okay if you are behind, but don't be behind for 10 sessions or more than 10 sessions kind of thing. So good, everyone. Catch up on 16th. Bye-bye.